Welcome back, as always, for tuning in, those binge listeners. Whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to just tell you real quickly. Today, we are going to have a very specific topic on how you can be a powerful, independent female without a man. And if you're a man listening to this, you're like, this doesn't relate to me. Yeah, it does, because 80% of this profession is comprised of women. Good leaders have vision, great leaders give vision. So you're always listening and tuning in. It's like I tell people, whether if someone's training on how to be an extrovert and you're an introvert, still learn, because there's lots of extroverts out there. If someone's an extrovert and someone else is training on how to be an introvert, right, or how to communicate with them, you best listen, because the ability to learn how to learn is the greatest ability one can have. So you best listen today. So Lourene is a good friend of mine. How long ago did we meet? We met in Australia. Was it 5 years ago? I don't know.
Yeah, 5 years ago. Yeah, it would
5 years
maybe.
ago. That was back in the day, pre-chaos world, when my good buddy Fraser Brooks and I would go there consistently and do events, and we just had so much fun. The energy in Australia is insane. In-person events there are just insane. We loved it, loved it, loved it. Chaos happened in the world. Things got a little canceled. So we'll get back to our roots there, but you were one of the ones that really helped make that happen and promoted it. And we're forever grateful for that. I know you've got an incredible background with working out, doing a little bit of television, which led into that, being an incredible athlete, and then obviously transitioning into being in the top 1% of all network marketers in the world, which is pretty freaking cool. So give us like the 2 minute, just highlight version, how long you've been in the profession, maybe what you did before, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, look, I've been in the profession probably since 2014, and I've always been a very competitive person. From the day I knew I could walk, sport was my passion, health and wellness was my passion, and I would do everything from little athletics to swimming to basketball. And I remember one day, and my girlfriend's in year 8 in secondary school, and one of my girlfriends said, "Look, Lorraine, what do you want to do when you get older?" And I jumped in and I said, "Oh, look, I'd love to be like a world champion." Had no idea what sport. I want to go to university, be a phys ed teacher, and then be a. And I achieved every one of those. I became a world champion in karate. I went on the TV show called Gladiators, become a phys ed teacher, and I'm a mum of 2 beautiful girls. So that's my story in a nutshell, and it's pretty amazing. Like when you're younger, you have these dreams, right? And every child, you ask them what they want to be when they get older, and they'll tell you. And somewhere along the line, whether it's when you get to university or
Yeah.
have a degree, that dream goes for so many people. It's such a shame, because honestly, if you put your mind to anything and you're passionate about it, you can achieve anything that you want.
Yeah. And that's having that clear focus, right? Napoleon Hill says, Think and Grow Rich, that definiteness of purpose. And he believes the number one cause of failure is indecision. I mean, most people don't even know what they really, really want. And when you know what you really, really want, you'll figure it out. Again, it's not going to be easy, but that's a commonality you're going to hear from all these leaders is eventually they knew what they wanted. And all of them went through different trials and tragedies. But because they knew what they wanted, it was easy to press forward when there was a storm, right? When it did get a little bit foggy and you couldn't see forward. But I love, because we were going back and forth on topics, and I love the way that you said it when we were going back and forth on just Messenger, of just being that strong, independent female that you don't need a man. And I love the way that you said it, because it doesn't mean that you don't have to love your partner, right? Or any of that stuff. It's just basically, I'm hearing it, listening. I've heard you many times, but you can stand on your own 2 feet. You can be incredible. You can do everything. And so, talk us through a little bit of that, because 80% of this profession is comprised of females, and obviously you've led a ton of them and helped them believe in themselves, and also maybe talk about what you feel like some of those limiting beliefs many women have around that.
Yeah, well, just from experience, I mean, as women, we love to care and give. Okay, I think that's a natural trait from most women. Um, and I was at the top of my career in my sporting world, and I'm married. I was two beautiful girls, and I sort of gave everything up to be that carer, to be the mother, which is fine. But I also gave up who I was. I gave away my power, my empowerment, um, so that I could look after the family and the breadwinner. But then when the breadwinner left and I wasn't ready for that, oh my God, it's like, now what? That's where that I didn't have any belief. I had no self-confidence. I had no
Mm.
confidence. I felt lost. And I thought, oh my God, I have to climb another mountain again. And back then, I couldn't see how I was going to do that, right? And that's what I like to talk about. Is don't lose that empowerment. Don't lose who you are to um, give yourself away, or to make your partner love you more, or because you make your partner more happy, if that makes sense. Try and do that, still be that strong, powerful woman, be supportive and caring, but don't lose who you are. And that's what I'm all about, because I see it so
Yeah.
often, more than I could count on my 10 fingers, that women do that for some reason.
So
And
what
they
if
just
somebody has a
overdo it.
partner though that is not supportive at all, and they're like, oh, you just like, and again, I always say to each their own. Some women, everyone's so different. There is no one size fits all. Some women are great. They don't feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
they need to work. Others feel like they do. Others a little bit. Others a lot. There's no right or wrong. Each one of you is so unique. But let's say someone says, "Okay, I want to do this business 10 hours a week," and the partner is jealous, and the partner is passive aggressive, and the partner is, making all those comments. Like, how do you best handle that situation? What do you do?
Leave. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, it's horrible. That's the first thing. See, I was not really in that situation,
Yeah.
because obviously then oh, look, that's a really
Because
hard
yours was
question.
after, right? When you
Mine
really
was
started.
after.
Yeah.
When I was in there, I didn't really see that. I wasn't doing the business then. It was something that there was a solution to that saved me and empowered me afterwards. But I do see that a lot. Um, I can't really answer that apart from, build yourself up, what you listen to, who you surround yourself as much as you can away from that, and just work in pockets of time that he probably doesn't see that. But then again, that's not healthy either, Rob, right?
Yeah.
Because that causes issues. So can you talk to him? Can you get help back? Can you get a counselor maybe that you both bring together and talk about that you want to do? I don't
Can you
know. Like,
can
that's
you
what I
create,
really
no,
represent.
yeah, that's
Sorry?
tough. I'm thinking about it too. I mean, can you create boundaries? Can you say, hey, look, this is something I'm extremely passionate about, but I also want to make sure that, you know how important you are to me. And so let's create time for you. We'll create schedules for me. Right. All of these different things. And again, every relationship's going to be a little bit different dynamic on, what's worth it. Maybe you feel like you got the perfect partner in every other aspect, but in this aspect, you feel like this is their weakness. And you're like, it's so worth it. And so you're going to have to work through that. But effective communication is really, really key as you go and you make this happen. You deal with a lot of obviously instilling belief in everyone, but in particular in women that don't have it. How do you do that? Like, what are things, like I always say, good leaders have vision, great leaders give vision. How do you help build up somebody's belief that's low? Because you went through it where it was high prior, then it was low, right? And you built it all the way back up to high again. And so if my belief is really, really low right now, where do I start? What do I do?
Well, first of all, I share my story. It's like I totally understand how you feel. That was me, so they can relate to it, right? Always go to the feel, um, and then just little steps, and be there for them as much as you can. And again, I always come back to, I understand that's how I was, and this is what I did. And then they would say, oh, Lourene, it's another day. I can't do that. Yeah, I know. That happens, doesn't it? Okay, let's do this. But I would be there. I am there for them every day. I have a group of women or individuals one-on-one who I give little assignments to, things they've got to read, things they've got to listen, check in with me. And then all of a sudden,
Mm.
it's amazing how they start to feel so good about themselves. And just that little shift in their mindset, Oh, I mean, OMG, it's huge, Rob. And then it just builds and builds and builds. And then, especially with our business, if you can get them like a little bit of win, if it's monetary within the first fortnight, that's, oh my God, that's belief. It works. Or if you can help them to get a customer or a business builder quickly, how does that work? And then all of a sudden they can see, oh my God, I can do this, right? It's just little steps.
I think that's one of the most underrated parts of the business that is overlooked as far as getting people quick wins. And you just talked about that. So maybe touch more on that. How would you get someone a quick win, right? Because when they start, most of the time they're just paralyzed and they don't want to do anything except for make the plan of the plan of the plan and study the 92,000 ways the compensation plan pays and the 52 pending patent ingredients and, and all that stuff, because then they feel like they're actually working, but they're not. And those aren't wins. Those are fake wins. And so now they go to bed and they wake up even more terrified, even more scared, right? Even almost less belief. Oh, I don't have the style, I don't have the personality, I don't have the time. So I think that's one of the most, actually, that's the most important thing to duplication, getting teams launched, taprooting. All of them are similar things, saying the same thing in different ways. So getting somebody their first win, tell me, what does that look like, and how would you walk someone through this process?
If I have someone new, I would just say to them, okay, look, everyone's out there. They're over the challenge either with their health or finances, 9 out of 10, right? And I said, just be you, just a normal conversation. I just want you to think right now, let's just write them down. Let's not judge. Who do you know that needs the product for their health? Without even thinking about what you're going to say or judge. And just
who do you know that needs the product with health, right? She's health and wellness. So whatever your insert those same words, right, with your industry and products, it's great.
Right. So whether it's skin, whether it's moods, whether it's hormones, whether it's gut issues, whatever it may be. And then I'd say, and then on the other side, let's think about, who are looking for something to do, purpose, a passion, who wants to plug into a community, be part of something that's going somewhere, or someone who needs a side hustle or plan B for extra income because they just make it. It's really tough to make the ends meet. And we write a list. All right, okay. And then what I get them to do, we have an amazing group. We invite people into the group. And then we send them a message. Hey, Rob, I just invited you to an amazing group that I'm part of, because I know that you said the other day that you're hurting with A, B, C. This group has amazing solutions, incredible products. I've just tagged you in a few things. Everyone can do that, right? That's easy. Easy. So I help them do that. I get them to invite, because you know what it's like when you get invited on Facebook groups. It's like, oh, someone's invited without my permission. So we do it but we follow with a message. So it's less. And if they're a game, I think a voice message is great because they can feel your energy. They can know it's you. They can feel that you're legit instead of just sending text messages. But if you're not ready for that, the power of the message is still great. So we do that. We invite people. Right? We sit together 15 minutes, do that. And then we do the same for the business, because in the same group, there is information about health and wellness, and there's information how you can make extra income. And that's how we get started. So invite them to the group, tag them in the required information. And then the last thing is, if they need to, if they ask questions to that person, they're not sure what the answers are, that's where I come in. Third person, three-way chat, whatever you want to call it. So that's how I get people to get going. They feel good. Now, those 10 people, at least half are going to come to the group. They're going to get informed, they get education, and then they make the right decisions. That's for me, I'm in.
What's interesting, though, is until the very end there, did you notice when she talked about getting a win, nothing in that process talked about how many signups they have? I want to point that out, because I think a lot of times we think when we get someone launched, of course we want them to have signups. Of course they want to have signups. But if they go to bed with having invited however many you can get them to invite, whether that's 10, 7, 5, sometimes it's only 3, right? Whatever it is, you're going to do your best. But they go to bed, and let's just say it's with 3. Their brain is still thinking in the possibilities of progress and this person that could say yes, or these people that could say yes. So now their brain is shifted to a much more positive outlook. Whereas if they haven't reached out to anybody, now they go to bed with nightmares rather than dreams. And it's like, I don't have the time. I can't do this, right? I just don't know what to say. And also in that process, none of them had to be experts. right? None of them had to be experts. You can simply invite people, tell them what you invited them to, check it out, right? And then after that, when they got the expert questions, either they can find it in the group or they can do third party validations, right? Group chats. And it makes the process so simple as you go. But most
Simple and duplicatable.
yeah.
And so if they can see what you're doing, that they can do it with their prospects down the line as well, because it's simple, right? You just got to do enough of that each day, probably. Then I get together with them. Say if I've done it today, I say, okay, let's do it again Monday, Wednesday, and Friday next week. We're going to do it online, or we get together in a coffee shop. Let's do it. And they love that. And I'm a pretty positive energy person. They feel that, they feed off that. Let's work together. Let's get some wins. And it just grows from there.
You said something else that I think is interesting. You said they can see themselves doing it. When you approach your prospects, whether they're potential customers or business builders, the right way, you're showing them how to do the business. And if you do a sales job where you got to get on and you sell them for an hour and a half, sure, they may sign up, but they're thinking in their minds, well, I got to learn all this and I got to sell all this stuff and I'm not going to learn this and I don't have the time and I'm not as good as this person, that's obviously been in the business 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 years. And so it overwhelms them. That's what I did when I first started. I got a lot of signups and sales job, number one recruiter out of a million distributors. And then I finally had to learn that I was just making it too complex. And I had to step back and really simplify it. And you know what? In some ways, I may have had a few less signups. Actually, I did. But it duplicated where my organization grew tremendously. And so, I'm glad you said that, because what works is what duplicates. And what duplicates is simplicity. Because the person that you love to death, that on a scale of 1 to 10, their skill set is a 2 or 3, love them as human beings, but their skill set's really bad. I can think of my mom. Love you, Mom, if you're listening, but she can't sell worth anything. She knows that, right? Bless her heart. I'm like, if she could do this type of business, she's very skilled at many other things, then it would be successful. And so, doing that and getting people launched right away is so, so important. Following that with the follow-up, what would you typically say, or maybe some ideas or strategies? Because I see a lot of people either fail to follow up, fail to schedule properly, aren't sure really how to follow up. So they just reach out, hey, do you need anything? And the direction just kind of goes all over the place, where they get ghosted. Everyone gets ghosted, but they get ghosted more than they probably should. So now we've launched them and they start to reach out to new people. What are maybe some extra tips to help people with the follow-up?
Okay, so let's just say we sent a message that I've invited you to the group and you haven't responded. I know, and I've done this too. How many times have a text message or a message comes in where you've seen it, you've answered it mentally, but you haven't replied because you are busy. You are either cooking, cleaning, driving, you've been distracted by the kids and you haven't got back to it and you've totally forgotten about it.
Did my wife talk to you? Did Janaea talk to you? That's what she does all the time.
Right. But you, as the person who sent the message, oh my God, they're not interested. They've ghosted me. And not at all, mate. Just give it 24 hours and just send another message. Hey, Rob, did you get my message I sent through yesterday about, I invited you to a group? And you're going, oh, yeah. Oh, my God, thanks for reminding me. Okay, that's going to happen. And, of course, there's going to be some other people that it's just not for them. And that's okay. Totally fine. I think you just don't get hung up on the outcome, the decisions that people make. As long as you're doing enough of it and doing the follow-up and invite them, that is cool. Now, once the people are in the group and they've told their details, or they want to know, and you've tagged them, and there hasn't been any response or feedback, it's great for go out to them, said, hey, I just tagged you in to testimonials, I tagged you in some information. Is there anything you'd love to know more about? Oh, by the way, I come across this amazing testimonial this morning. Flick. And that testimonial can be related to their health challenge, or maybe someone made their first $1,000, whatever it is, and you want to share that with them. Okay, whatever way, if it's health or finance. So follow up is absolutely crucial. And you just keep following up, and don't hound them, but just listen to your gut until they say, you know what, Lourene, I'm in. This is amazing, or no, it's not for me. Then you just back off. And they're still in the group unless they leave. Because what I find, I've had people in my group since 2014. They've never commented, they've never liked, but they've watched and read everything. And then all of a sudden, something's aligned with them, and something, or they've got older and now need it, reached out, and they're on the product as a customer. Boom.
Isn't that interesting? And sometimes I was worried too that I was being too persistent, and sometimes on the opposite side, if you're not persistent, you're showing that you don't really value what you have. Think about it. If you had something that you couldn't tell people, but if they joined, they would instantly get an insane amount of whatever, money or time freedom, how passionate and urgent would you be? But I get the other side where we don't want to be the annoying person. And so we kind of get stuck, not sure what. So I like how you said, listen to your gut. And then I would add to it is, if you're really not sure, just say it. Just say
Absolutely.
it. Just say, hey, look, I never want to be that annoying person. I know you've shown interest, but just tell me if you're not. Of course, and then you can just kind of go on based on what they said, but just say it. Like, honestly, worst case scenario, it's good communication. Say, you know what, right now it's just not for me. And then you're not going to waste any time right now. You can stay in contact. They can stay in the group, which is a great point, because you're still chipping away and building trust. And that makes a huge, huge difference. So we've gotten tips on being a very, very strong, independent female, belief. We've talked about launching. We've talked about following up. I think everyone's just good to go now. Like, now it's time to go crush your business and make it happen, and go simplify things as you go, and find one thing from this particular podcast that you say, you know what, I'm going to go implement that. And it may not be the top of your implementation list right this second, but create an implementation list of things that you actually want to make happen. And maybe you got 2 or 3 other things you're doing first, but something you heard today is added to that. But I just love these podcasts, because for me, I learn hearing these different voices, different communication styles. And then, of course, I get to hear incredible accents every so often, which is just an added benefit. I think best accent by far. Love, 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 love it. Where is the best place for people to find you on social media?
Oh, I'm on everything: Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn as well, believe it or not, TikTok. Yeah, I'm all there. It's just my name, so that's pretty easy. So you'll find that in the description below the podcast.
Yeah. So go search her, go find her, say, hey, I listened to the podcast. Thank you so much for the content and value provided. And hopefully I'll get my butt out to Australia.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, you got to come back out again. Those events that you and Fraser did were just the best.
It's fun. We really, really loved it. Grew and more fun. So we'll be doing more, right? Hopefully this year, get our feet underneath us back with events and stuff. And then who knows, right? Maybe we'll reach out to you and spearhead it, make it happen. But I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. Of course, appreciate the fact that we get to have such incredible leaders come on and share of their just knowledge and expertise. Lourene, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. I love these things. It's always fun.
Until the next time, friends.